Welcome to the Phil and H Travel Podcast. Is it worth it?
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, so today we are unpacking Corfu in 2026. And I really want you to picture a scenario for a moment.
Oh, this is a good one.
Right. So you've just landed, the Mediterranean sun is just beating down on you, and you're standing in line at this beautiful little hilltop hotel.
Sounds perfect so far.
Exactly. And you've budgeted perfectly for this trip. But when you get to the front desk, you are suddenly handed this, brand new mandatory tax bill.
Yeah, the surprise fee.
Right. And it adds up to a pretty significant percentage of your entire accommodation budget.
Which nobody wants to deal with after a long flight.
No, not at all.
No.
And meanwhile, down the old town, a massive cruise ship has just docked.
Which changes everything.
It really does. The prices on the cafe menus are literally quietly being physically swapped out for more expensive ones while you're sitting there.
It's wild to see it happen in real time.
It's crazy. So this is a lush northern Ionian island. And right now, it has become one of the absolute major battlegrounds of Mediterranean tourism.
It really is the epicenter of this shift.
Yeah. We are looking at this incredible collision between massive tourist arrivals, nearly 2 million people, and this deliberate, highly engineered local government strategy.
They're trying to pivot, right?
Exactly. They want fewer, higher-spending visitors. So, in this deep dive, we are going to break down the real 2026 costs for you.
Because they have definitely changed.
They have. We'll examine the new climate resilience fee that replaced the old stayover tax. We'll reveal the absolute best and worst times to go and expose those logistics traps.
The traps that catch out almost every first-time visitor.
Oh, absolutely. And ultimately, we are going to provide a definitive verdict on whether it is actually worth it for 5 very specific traveler profiles.
Right. We've got the backpacker, the mid-range couple, the family, the luxury traveler, and the digital nomad.
Yep, that's the roadmap. So setting the context right out of the gate here is crucial, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. Because understanding why this specific year, 2026, matters so much, it's going to save you a tremendous amount of frustration.
Yeah, you really have to understand the bigger picture.
Exactly. Right now, you are witnessing an island actively trying to re-engineer its own economic identity.
Which is fascinating.
It is. We aren't just talking about a destination that naturally drifts up in price due to, regular inflation.
Right, like standard yearly price bumps.
Exactly. We are analyzing a government and a local tourism board pulling highly specific policy levers to fundamentally change who can actually afford to visit.
It's intentional.
Highly intentional. For anyone planning a trip, grasping this shift isn't just interesting background noise for the flight over.
No, it's essential data.
It is urgent financial and logistical intelligence. It basically dictates every single booking decision you are about to make.
Okay, let's start by breaking down the geography and the sheer numbers, because I have to admit, my initial perception of Corfu was completely wrong.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, when someone says Greek island, your brain automatically defaults to a tiny walkable rock in the agency.
Yeah, the classic Santorini postcard image.
Exactly. You picture those blinding white buildings, the blue domes of the Cyclades, and the idea that you can just rent an ATV and see the whole place in an afternoon.
Right.
But Corfu shatters that template immediately. We are dealing with a 585 square kilometer Ionian island off Greece's northwest coast.
It is massive.
It's massively sprawling. To put that into perspective for you, geometrically speaking, if you look at a map, it is actually closer to the coastline of Albania than it is to Athens.
Yeah, people don't realize how far north and west it really is.
And aesthetically, we are talking about a UNESCO-listed Venetian old town and dense green mountain villages.
Oh, very green.
Yes, distinctly does not feel like that typical postcard Greece. But the data points surrounding the tourism influx are what truly set off alarm bells for me.
The numbers are staggering.
They really are. International flight arrivals are up 32% since 2019.
Wow.
And ferry passenger numbers have surged by 31%. In 2024, total arrivals hit nearly 2 million, which was a 7% jump in just a single calendar year.
That is a massive volume of people.
Right. So how does an island even physically absorb a 32% jump in flights?
Well, the short answer is it struggles immensely.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
I mean, a finite geographic space cannot support an infinite upward curve of human bodies. It's just physical reality.
Right.
And this is the catalyst for what industry analysts are currently calling the Ionian pivot.
The Ionian pivot. I like that term.
Yeah. When you have a 32% increase in flights landing at an airport, you are placing an unprecedented load on a set amount of roads, water processing facilities, and waste management systems.
Stuff that isn't easily upgraded.
Exactly. The infrastructure simply cannot scale at the speed of budget airlines adding new summer routes.
It takes years to build a water treatment plant, but only weeks to schedule a new Ryanair flight.
Exactly. Therefore, the local authorities have been forced to prioritize yield over volume.
Meaning they need more money per person.
Right. They need the people who do arrive to spend significantly more money, while simultaneously trying to cool down the sheer mass of daily arrivals.
Okay, but I want to push back on that a little bit.
Sure.
Because when we look at the specific mechanisms they are using, namely the taxes, it feels incredibly targeted to me.
It is definitely targeted.
Right, so the old bailout-era bed tax has been entirely replaced by something called the climate resilience fee.
Yep, the new fee structure.
And this is not some hidden tax baked into your flight. This is a hard cost added directly to your accommodation when you check in or check out.
You see it right on the bill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are talking about charging up to €15 per room per night in peak season at five-star hotels.
Which adds up fast.
It really does.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they've implemented a €5 cruise disembarkation fee hitting the Corfu port from June through September.
Trying to manage those day trippers.
Yeah. But let's look at average hotel prices for 2026. They sit around €130 a night on average, peaking at over €350 in August and dropping to under $75 in January.
Huge seasonal swings.
Massive swings. So when I look at a flat fee being slapped on every single room, I have to ask you, is this climate resilience fee actually about the environment, or is it just a gentrification tax designed to systematically price out the budget backpacker?
That tension right there, that is the defining characteristic of Corfu right now.
Yeah.
The fee essentially operates as both an environmental fund and a very strict economic filter.
An economic filter.
Think about the mathematical reality of a flat tax. If you attach a flat nightly fee on top of a highly discounted room, the percentage increase of that total holiday goes up dramatically for the budget traveler.
Oh, totally. A 3 fee on a 30 room is a 10% tax.
Exactly. It makes the shoestring trip fundamentally less viable. Meanwhile, for the luxury traveler paying €500 or €600 a night,
Right.
a €15 fee is a negligible rounding error. They don't even blink at checkout.
They probably don't even notice it on the itemized receipt.
Exactly. This means the island is actively engineering itself out of the budget market.
Wow.
The urgency for you, the listener, if you are planning to go, is recognizing that this current shoulder season might be the absolute last affordable window for mid-range travelers.
Before it just becomes Mykonos 2.0.
Right, before the entire island fully transitions into a highly exclusive upscale identity.
Okay, so if the island is intentionally filtering out the masses through pricing, then the calendar basically becomes your most powerful weapon.
It really does. Timing is everything.
When you choose to step off the plane, literally dictates whether you are walking into a fantastic bargain or a complete financial buzzsaw.
Yeah, you have to be so careful.
Let's walk through the year, starting with the extremes. January is unequivocally the cheapest month.
Unsurprisingly.
Right. The data shows average hotel rates plummet to about €75 a night. But before you rush to book a winter escape, there is a severe reality check.
A very severe one.
The vast majority of the tourist infrastructure simply ceases to exist.
It's basically closed.
Yeah, those charming beach tavernas, the inter-island ferries, the resort pools, they're drained, shuttered, and locked down until Easter.
January really serves a very niche demographic.
Who is even going then?
Well, if your goal is to sit in an isolated mountain village, read a stack of books by a fireplace, and interact solely with year-round locals, it is a fascinating time to visit.
That does sound kind of cozy, honestly.
It is, but you are absolutely not getting the Corfu marketed in the glossy brochures.
No beach clubs.
The waters are way too cold, the coastal resorts resemble ghost towns, and the services are stripped to the bare minimum.
Okay, so then the pendulum swings to the absolute opposite extreme, August.
August.
August is the single most expensive, chaotic month to set foot on the island. We're tracking average accommodation rates of 386 souls per night.
Which is just staggering for average rates.
It's wild. But it isn't just the assault on your wallet. It's an assault on your physical comfort. You are dealing with 35 degrees Celsius highs.
It is brutally hot.
Yeah. And the famous Paleokastritsa beaches are jammed to the point where finding a square meter of sand requires arriving at dawn.
Good luck finding parking, too.
Exactly.
Huh.
And here is this statistic that completely reframed my view of the island's capacity. Up to 8,000 cruise day trippers land in Corfu town in a single morning.
That number is just, it's hard to even picture.
Right, imagine sharing one small historic town square with the population of a small city, all arriving at 9 a.m.
Funneled through the exact same narrow streets.
It sounds like a nightmare.
That scenario is the textbook definition of carrying capacity failure.
Carrying capacity failure, that makes sense.
Yeah, you have physical bottlenecks, ancient streets, specific harbor entrances, historic fortresses that were designed centuries ago.
Not designed for megaships.
No. Pushing 8,000 extra people through them in a 3-hour window breaks the experience for everyone involved.
The locals must hate it.
They do. But beyond the crowds, we really have to address the climate reality of 2026.
Yeah, let's talk about the heat.
The 35-degree average is just the baseline. July and August, temperatures regularly spike past 36 degrees Celsius.
That's getting dangerous.
It is. The UK Foreign Office heat advisories are no longer rare breaking news events. They've become a completely normalized, standard fixture of the Mediterranean summer.
Which is scary when you think about it.
It fundamentally alters the entire premise of an August holiday. You are paying peak prices, nearly €400 a night, not to lounge comfortably on a beach, but to actively hide indoors.
Just blasting the air conditioning.
Exactly, with the AC running at maximum capacity because it is physically unsafe to be out in the midday sun.
Which means aiming for August is basically paying the maximum amount of money for the worst possible experience.
That's exactly what it is.
So that leaves us with the sweet spots. For Corfu, the data clearly points to mid-May to mid-June, or the back half of the year from mid-September to early October.
Those are definitely the prime windows.
Wow. During these windows, the sea temperatures are still hovering above 22 degrees Celsius, making the water perfectly comfortable for swimming.
And the crowds are so much more manageable.
Exactly. Plus, the hotel rates plummet 40 to 50% below that August peak.
It's a massive discount.
It really is. However, there is a massive trap hiding in the spring window that catches people off guard every single year.
Oh, the Easter trap.
Greek Orthodox Easter.
Yes. Corfu's Easter celebration is not just a local holiday, it is arguably the most famous and elaborate in all of Greece.
I've heard it's intense.
It acts as a massive magnet for domestic tourism. Greeks from the mainland and the diaspora absolutely flood the island.
So if you think you're getting a quiet spring break,
you are completely wrong. If your goal is a tranquil, budget-friendly spring getaway, arriving during Holy Week is a profound miscalculation.
Because of the prices.
Yes. The influx of domestic travelers literally triples accommodation prices, mimicking the financial strain of August.
Wow. But if you are an absolute culture junkie and you actually want spectacle, then by all means, book for mid-April.
Oh, it's an incredible thing to witness.
Right, because you get to see the pot-throwing festival on Holy Saturday.
From the balconies, yeah.
Yeah, locals literally hurl massive clay pots off their balconies into the streets below to smash them. It's such an incredible tradition.
It is loud and chaotic and beautiful.
But you have to go in with your eyes open knowing you are paying premium summer prices for a spring festival.
Exactly. The broader takeaway from analyzing these calendar swings is that the traditional concept of a peak season is entirely broken in the modern Mediterranean.
It really is. The rules have changed.
The shoulder seasons, those May and September windows, are no longer just the smart alternative. They are the only logical main season for an informed traveler.
That's a great way to put it.
By shifting to the shoulder months, you sidestep the dangerous heat waves, you avoid the carrying capacity failures of the cruise crowds, and you dodge the most punitive pricing structures.
Okay, so regardless of whether you book that idyllic May window or you brave the August chaos, the moment you arrive, the island hits your senses in a very specific way.
First impressions are huge here.
They really are. Let's walk through those crucial first impressions and the logistics of actually getting your feet on the ground.
Sure.
Most international visitors fly into the Corfu Ioannis Kapodistrias airport, and it is incredibly close to the action, only about 4.8 miles from the old town.
It's one of the easiest airport transfers in Greece.
From the terminal, you have highly accessible options. You can jump on the Blue Bus Line 15 for a mere 1.70, which is a fantastic value.
You really can't beat that price.
Or you can grab a metered taxi to the Liston, the main promenade, which should run you around €15.
And for those incorporating Corfu into a broader European itinerary, arriving by ferry is a major artery.
Right, coming from the mainland.
Yeah, if you are driving down through the Balkans and crossing from Igoumenitsa on the Greek mainland, the ferry is incredibly efficient.
How much is that?
It's only a 10 ticket for a foot passenger, and the crossings happen hourly.
That's so easy.
But there is a secondary ferry route that is a brilliant strategic asset. The crossing from Saranda in Albania.
Ooh, yes, the Albania pivot.
That ticket is roughly €25. If you are watching flight prices into Corfu suddenly spike, flying into Tirana, Albania, traveling down the coast, and taking that short ferry across is a phenomenal backup plan.
That is such a good hack that many travelers just completely overlook.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've taken the bus or the ferry, and you finally step into Corfu town. The sensory details of this place provide immediate cultural whiplash.
It does not look like the rest of Greece.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You are walking along the Liston, which features these sweeping, elegant Venetian arcades. You look across the street to the Spianata, this massive green park, and there are locals playing cricket.
Which is just bizarre to see there.
It is a completely jarring British-era hangover in the middle of the Mediterranean.
Yeah, the cricket pitch always confuses people.
And the air smells heavily of kumquat liqueur drifting from the street stalls. Kumquats being an agricultural staple you rarely see elsewhere in Greece.
They are everywhere in Corfu town.
Right, and this entire vibrant, slightly confusing cultural center is bracketed by two massive, imposing stone structures. The old fortress and the new fortress.
It is incredibly dramatic.
It just does not feel like the Greece you see in movies.
Well, that disorientation is the hallmark of the island's unique geopolitical history.
Let's talk about that history.
It completely explains why the visual and cultural identity is so fundamentally different from Athens or Santorini.
Because they weren't under Ottoman rule, right?
Exactly. Crucially, Corfu was never conquered by the Ottoman Empire. While the rest of Greece spent centuries under Ottoman rule, Corfu was held by the Venetians for over 400 years.
400 years is a long time to leave a mark.
It completely shaped the island. Then it passed to the French and subsequently became a British protectorate before finally unifying with modern Greece in the 19th century.
Okay, so that timeline explains the architecture, the cricket pitch, the marching bands, and the distinct culinary profile.
Exactly. It is the result of being a Western-facing maritime stronghold that constantly absorbed European influences.
Wow. But once you leave that historical bubble of Corfu town, the geography of the wider island is wildly diverse.
It's like two different islands.
The landmass essentially splits its personality. In the north, you have this incredibly dramatic, mountainous green terrain surrounding Mount Pantocrator.
Very winding, steep roads.
Right. Then, as you head south toward Kavos, the land flattens out and becomes much drier.
Which brings us to the single biggest logistical mistake people make.
Oh, the driving times.
Yes. You mentioned earlier that it's 585 square kilometers, but to put that into practical terms.
Right. Thinking you can casually pop down from a villa in Cassiope in the north to check out a beach club in Kavos in the south is like thinking you can casually walk across London during your lunch break.
It's nearly a 2-hour drive on winding roads.
It is exhausting.
Treating Corfu like a compact resort island where you can rent a bicycle and leisurely pedal from the North Shore to the South Shore in an afternoon is a recipe for a ruined itinerary.
You will spend half your trip in a car.
Exactly. Because the island takes up to 2 hours to cross by car, the location of your accommodation is the most consequential decision of the trip.
It really is.
It doesn't just determine your ocean view, it dictates the type of transport you will be forced to rent, the specific crowds you will interact with, and whether your daily routine involves navigating mountain switchbacks or flat coastal highways.
Okay, so since where you book your bed entirely shapes your reality on the island, let's break down the 2026 accommodation landscape.
Let's look at the numbers.
We are going to look at the hard numbers for 4 distinct traveler types. Let's start with the backpacker.
The budget crowd.
Yeah. The legendary institution on the island is the Pink Palace in Agios Gordios. For decades, it has been the rite of passage for young travelers.
It's famous or infamous, depending on who you ask.
Very true. In 2026, dorm beds are still hovering around €25 a night. And incredibly, that price still includes breakfast and dinner.
Which is basically unheard of now.
It really is the last true stronghold of the golden era of backpacking. But if the party vibe of the Pink Palace is too intense, the Sunrock Hostel over in Pelekas offers a much quieter, more laid-back alternative for around €30 a night.
Now, this is where we have to reintroduce the mechanics of that climate resilience fee we talked about.
Right. How does it affect the hostels?
We need to see how it impacts the ground floor of travel. For a 1 to 2 star property or a hostel, the fee adds roughly $1.50 per night.
Okay.
So that €25 dorm bed functionally becomes $26 per night.
That doesn't sound too bad.
On a daily basis, and an extra $1.50 might not sound catastrophic, but if you are a backpacker planning to stay for 3 weeks, that fee compounds.
Oh, sure.
It starts eating into the budget reserved for transport or food.
Mm-hmm.
It is noticeable, and it is the first sign of the squeeze.
Yeah, every euro counts when you're backpacking. Now let's scale up to the mid-range couple.
The sweet spot for a lot of people.
A prime example in this bracket is the Levant Hotel in Pelekas. It features these sweeping hilltop sea views, a beautiful pool, and in the shoulder season, you are looking at an average of €70 a night.
That's a great deal for that view.
It's stunning. Or, if you prefer to be immersed in the action of the Old Town, a place like the Bella Venezia offers lovely garden breakfasts for around €110 a night.
And for those at the 3-star level, that nightly fee jumps to €3.
Okay.
So you are adding €21 to a week-long stay. Annoying, but manageable.
Definitely manageable. Moving into the family category, the priorities shift entirely towards space, pool access, and proximity to safe beaches.
You need convenience with kids.
Exactly. The Tramasart Hotel and the Palms and Spas Villas Retreat are excellent markers for the 3-star family market.
What are the rates looking like there?
Based on recent data, weekend searches average about €84 a night for standard setups, with dedicated larger family rooms running around $140.
Again, that 3 nightly fee applies across the board here.
Right. But here is where the island's grand strategy really reveals itself. The luxury traveler.
This is where things get wild.
Properties like the Grecotel Corfu Imperial and the Angsana Corfu Resort and Spa represent the absolute apex of the island's high-end pivot.
The facilities there are just incredible.
They really are. At the Angsana, standard rooms average €450 a night in June.
Just for a standard room.
Yeah. If you look at the broader 5-star market, you might snag an average of €120 in the softest, quietest off-season weeks, but those rates climb well past €400 and often higher in peak August.
And the fee at this tier, it jumps up to €15 a night in peak months.
Okay, now, we touched on this earlier, but I really want to dig into the logic here.
Sure, go ahead.
If I'm spending $450 a night, I'm dropping over $3,000 a week just on the room. A €15 nightly fee feels entirely performative.
Right, it's barely a blip.
It's a rounding error. Does a flat fee at the top end actually accomplish anything other than just generating revenue for the government?
You've hit on the exact psychology of the fee structure. The local government knows perfectly well that the €15 fee will not deter a single guest from booking the Angsana.
Right.
The luxury traveler simply absorbs it. The fee is mathematically regressive.
Explain that for the listeners.
A $150 fee on a 25 backpacker bed is a 6% tax on the accommodation. A 15 fee on a 500 luxury suite is a 3% tax.
So the burden is actually heavier at the bottom.
Exactly. This aligns perfectly with the stated goal of the Ionian pivot. They aren't trying to slow down the arrival of luxury guests. They want more of them.
Ah, I see.
The fee is designed to slowly squeeze the profit margins and viability of the ultra-budget sector, theoretically encouraging those property owners to renovate, upgrade their facilities, and chase a higher-yielding demographic.
Wow. So it's essentially a quiet war of attrition against cheap beds.
That's exactly what it is.
That is a fascinating, if somewhat brutal, economic strategy.
It is brutal, but it's happening across the Mediterranean.
Well, regardless of whether you are sleeping on a 25-bunk bed at the Pink Palace or in a 450 suite at the Grecotel, you still have to eat.
Oh, and food here is incredible.
You cannot talk about Corfu without diving into the Corfu food scene, because it operates on a completely different frequency than the rest of the country.
The culinary landscape is the most tangible evidence of the history we discussed earlier.
Because of the Venetians.
Yes. Just as the architecture reflects centuries of Venetian rule, the food identity is profoundly distinct from the mainland.
So, no standard Greek salads at every meal.
Right. If you arrive expecting every menu to be dominated by standard feta salads and basic souvlaki skewers, you're missing the point of the island.
What should they be looking for instead?
The cuisine is built on deep Venetian and British layers, intertwined with local agriculture.
The anchor dishes here are incredibly rich. First, You have to seek out Pastitsada.
Oh, Pastitsada is amazing.
It is so good. This is a slow-cooked beef or traditionally rooster braised in this incredibly thick, dark, heavily spiced tomato sauce, and it's served over pasta.
Over pasta, which throws people off.
Yeah, you will usually see a price between 12 and 16 euro at a local taverna. It blew my mind because pasta and heavy beef stew sounds like something you'd eat in Florence in the winter, not on a Greek island in the summer.
It is very heavy for a beach day.
It is. Then there is sofrito, which is thin cuts of veal cooked slowly in white wine, vinegar, and heavy garlic, running 14 to 18 euro.
The garlic in that dish is intense.
And for seafood, Bourdeto is a fiery, spicy fish stew, heavily seasoned with red pepper, going for 16 to 22 euro.
The flavor profile of a dish like Pastitsada hinges on a specific spice blend called speziarico, which typically includes cinnamon, cloves, allspice, and nutmeg.
That sounds like a baking spice blend.
Right, that heavy reliance on warming spices is a direct inheritance from the Venetians, who controlled the lucrative maritime spice trade routes connecting the East to Europe.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
When you eat Pastitsada, you are literally eating the history of global trade monopolies on a plate.
That is so cool.
However, indulging in slow-cooked veal and spiced rooster for 3 meals a day will drain a budget incredibly fast.
Yeah, those 18 dishes add up quickly.
Understanding the grocery landscape is vital for pacing your spending.
Absolutely. You need to know how to sustain yourself between those big taverna meals.
So what are the grocery options?
The main supermarket anchors on the island are Lidl, AB Vasilopoulos, and Sklavenitis.
Good to know.
To give you the hard baseline numbers for 2026, a liter of milk is running about 1.40.
Okay.
A standard loaf of bread is 1.21. And if you want to grab a bottle of the local Theotoki white wine to drink on your balcony while watching the sunset,
Which you absolutely should do.
that's going to run you 7 to 10 euros in the store.
Very reasonable.
But if you are out exploring and you need hot food but your budget is stretched, the street-side gyros remains the ultimate savior.
The gyro never fails.
It is still sitting at £3.50 to £4.50 day. Despite all the luxury pivoting, the gyro is genuinely the single cheapest real meal you can find on the island.
If you are stepping up to a mid-range sit-down dinner for two, let's say at a classic, highly regarded taverna like Taverna Carburis or Ruvaz in the Old Town.
Great spots, by the way.
You should budget between 45 and 70 total, including house wine.
That's a solid dinner budget.
And while we are discussing transactions, a brief note on etiquette goes a long way.
Oh, tipping. Let's talk about tipping.
Tipping 5 to 10% is very much appreciated by the service staff, though it is not strictly mandated in the aggressive way it is in North America.
Right, it's polite, not compulsory.
But far more importantly, opening any interaction in a shop, bakery, or restaurant with a polite calamera, meaning good morning, is essential cultural currency.
Calamera, I love that.
It instantly shifts the dynamic from a cold transactional tourist exchange to a respectful human interaction.
Just showing you care a little bit. Okay, now that we have the costs of beds and meals laid out, let's pull out the calculator and build some realistic daily profiles.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
We've constructed 3 daily budgets for 2026, low, mid, and high. What does a day actually look like when you put all these pieces together?
Walk us through the low budget.
For the low budget, we are targeting roughly 70 euros a day. That breaks down to a dorm bed at the Pink Palace for 25 euros.
Okay.
You grab a quick bakery breakfast for 3 euro. Lunch is a street-side gyros for 4.
Keeping it cheap.
You buy supplies at the supermarket for dinner, costing 8 euro. You take one return bus trip to a nearby beach for 3.40. You pay your £1.50 climate resilience fee, and you end the night with 2 local beers for 6 total. 70 euros zero.
It is a highly efficient day, but as we've noted, sustaining that exact model is becoming harder as the island's infrastructure leans upscale.
Yeah, that 70s is tight.
Now let's examine the mid-budget, which lands at roughly 170 euros per day.
Okay, what does that look like?
This scenario involves splitting a comfortable double room at the Levant Hotel, making your share 35 euro.
Nice.
You sit down for a proper cafe breakfast at 8 euro. You have a relaxed taverna lunch for 14 euro. Dinner is a much nicer affair with wine, coming to 35.
Sounds like a great day.
You split a scooter rental to explore the coast, which is 25 euro for your share. You pay the 6th entry fee to explore the old fortress, and your share of the climate resilience fee is £3.50 euro. Total, 170.
That feels very balanced. And then we reach the high budget. This is the reality of the new Corfu. Roughly 620 euro a day per person.
Wow.
You are sharing a premium room at the Angsana or Grecotel, so your half is 225. A sprawling luxury hotel breakfast runs 25.
Okay.
You take a taxi to a famous beach club like La Grata and have lunch. That's €55.
Yeah.
Dinner is a fine dining experience at the renowned Venetian Well for €150.
Which is an incredible restaurant, to be
That
fair.
was gorgeous. Then you rent a private boat for a half day, meaning your share is $200, and you pay your peak climate resilience fee of €15 total, $620.
That is quite the day.
When I look at those three columns, the contrast is staggering. The high budget is almost 10 times the low budget.
It really is two completely different worlds.
You could literally spend an entire week as a backpacker in Corfu, eating gyros and taking the bus for the exact same price as one single half-day boat rental and a nice dinner on the luxury side.
It's almost hard to believe these two travelers are operating on the same landmass.
Exactly.
It highlights the extreme dichotomy of a destination in the middle of an economic transition. Corfu is currently one of the very few places left in Europe where an ultra-budget backpacker and an ultra-luxury traveler can exist simultaneously.
Using completely different economies.
Right, utilizing completely different layers of the local economy. However, all the data points, the targeted fees, the new development permits, the marketing campaigns prove that the window for this dual existence is closing rapidly.
It's all moving upscale.
The entire apparatus of the island is heavily tilting to favor the $620 a day traveler.
But here's the critical warning for everyone listening. Whether you have €70 a day to scrape by or $600 a day to burn, those perfectly planned daily budgets will instantly evaporate if you fall into one of the island's three notorious logistics traps.
The tracks are real and they are expensive.
The island has ways of extracting money from the unprepared. Trap number 1, the Paleokastritsa boat tour hustle. How exactly does this work?
So the mechanism of this hustle relies entirely on the convenience of the hotel concierge desk.
Okay, the concierge.
You go down to the lobby and the staff will heavily push a 55 private or VIP Blue Cave boat tour.
Sounds nice, right?
They use language that implies exclusivity and luxury. You hand over your credit card thinking you've secured a romantic private excursion.
And what actually happens?
The reality is you arrive at the dock and you are ushered onto a shared 20-person rigid inflatable boat.
Oh, man.
You have grossly overpaid for a standard crowded group tour simply because you bought it through a middleman.
It is infuriating because it preys on trust. You trust your hotel.
You do, but they are taking a massive cut.
The fix here is incredibly simple, and it saves you instantly. Skip the hotel desk entirely.
Just walk to the water.
Walk right down to the Paleokastritsa harbor around 10 a.m., look for the local captains standing by their boats, and book directly with them.
It's so much cheaper.
That exact same 90-minute trip to the caves will cost you €20 per person in cash. You cut out the middleman entirely.
That's 35 saved right there.
Okay, trap number 2, the Kavos transfer trap.
This trap severely punishes travelers who fail to grasp the geographical scale of the island we discussed earlier.
Right, the driving times.
The resorts and hotels down in the southern party town of Kavos will routinely advertise on booking aggregator sites that they are located 30 minutes from the airport.
Which is a blatant geographical lie. I looked at the map, I looked at the traffic data. Unless you are in a helicopter, you are not getting to Kavos in 30 minutes.
Precisely. It is a mathematical impossibility. The physical reality is a 55-minute drive at minimum, often longer with summer traffic.
Okay, so where does the trap spring?
The trap springs shut when your flight arrives late in the evening. The public green bus, which is the cheap way down south, stops running at 8:30 p.m.
Oh, no.
The local taxi drivers at the airport rank know exactly what time the buses stop. They know you are stranded.
And they take advantage of it.
And they will enforce a 73 rate after 11 p.m. to drive you down to Kavos.
Starting your vacation by being extorted in the dark at a taxi rank is miserable.
It's the worst way to start a trip.
You have 2 fixes here. First, use an app like Welcome Pickups to book a transfer in advance for a fixed, guaranteed rate of around €55, so there is zero haggling.
Welcome Pickups is great for that.
Or second, just pick a resort in the northern or central part of the island to immediately cut your driving distance in half.
Exactly. Finally, trap number 3, the cruise day Corfu town squeeze.
We touched on the 8,000 day trippers earlier.
Yes. The mechanism of this trap is purely physical supply and demand. On days when 3 massive cruise ships dock simultaneously at the port, the Liston and the narrow streets of the Old Town are completely inundated between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Just totally packed.
During this 4-hour window, the local economics become highly aggressive.
Right.
Prices on cafe menus are quietly swapped out for higher ones. The physical queues to enter the old fortress stretch to 90 minutes in the blazing sun.
I have to stop you there.
Yeah.
Because I am fiercely protective of our listeners' wallets.
Of course.
When you say the menus quietly double, I want to know if this is malicious behavior. Is this coordinated price gouging, or is this just standard tourist economics playing out in real time?
It is essentially the physical world equivalent of algorithmic dynamic pricing.
Like Uber.
Think of it like Uber implementing surge pricing during a rainstorm. When the demand for a cafe table instantly spikes by 8,000 people within a single square mile, the vendors maximize their yield.
Because they can.
They know these cruise passengers have limited time and a high willingness to spend. Is it predatory toward the independent traveler who happens to walk by? Many would argue yes.
It definitely feels unfair.
But from an economic standpoint, it is entirely predictable. And because it is predictable, you can easily defeat it.
Exactly. The predictability is your weapon. The fix is a website, corfuport.gr.
A lifesaver of a website.
You go to this site the night before you plan to visit the Old Town, and you check the docking schedule. If you see a 3-ship day on the calendar, you alter your plans.
Just don't go.
You either visit the town at 8 a.m., have your coffee, and leave before the masses disembark, or you arrive after 5 p.m. when the passengers are all back on board eating the buffet.
Or just go to a different part of the island.
Better yet, just pick a day when no ships are docking. Using these tools, checking the port site, booking fixed-rate transfers, transforms you from a vulnerable, reactionary tourist into an informed, strategic traveler.
That distinction is vital. Getting scammed out of €30 for a boat tour hurts your pride, but it doesn't ruin your life.
Right.
However, when we transition to talking about physical safety, solo travel, and general comfort, the stakes are substantially higher. Understanding the real risks on the ground is paramount.
Let's talk about safety. Generally speaking, Corfu ranks among the safest destinations in the Greek islands.
Very safe overall.
Violent crime is exceptionally low. You aren't constantly looking over your shoulder. But there are highly realistic risks that you need to actively manage.
Mopeds being number one.
The major ones are moped accidents on the mountain roads, severe sunstroke on the north coast beaches that offer zero natural shade, and petty theft centralized in the Kavos nightlife zones.
Let's break down the driving aspect first, because the statistics are sobering.
Let's hear it.
Corfu has the absolute highest road accident rate of any island in the Ionian chain.
Wow, the highest.
Yes, the topography dictates narrow mountain switchbacks, often with degraded asphalt or loose gravel on the shoulders.
Not ideal for a novice.
Exactly. Every single summer, visitors who have absolutely no experience riding a motorized scooter at home decide to rent one on a whim because it looks fun.
Because they saw it on Instagram.
The combination of inexperience, slick roads, and sudden panic braking results in a high number of crashes, some of which are fatal.
There is this pervasive myth fueled by movies and, Instagram, that renting a scooter on a Greek island is this romantic wind-in-your-hair montage.
It rarely is.
Let me be perfectly clear. If you do not hold a motorcycle license, and if you are not an experienced rider at home, a mountain switchback in Greece is absolutely not the place to learn.
Please, just rent a car.
Rent a proper car with airbags, or rely on the bus network. Now, what about solo female travelers?
Also very important.
The general consensus is that Corfu town is extremely comfortable after dark. The Liston is well lit, heavily populated, and feels vibrant right up until midnight.
It's very welcoming.
But there is one glaring red flag on the island. Do not navigate Kavos alone after 1 a.m.
Kavos operates as the hyper-concentrated epicenter of the UK 18 to 30 package party scene.
It gets wild.
It is chaotic, the crowds are highly intoxicated, and it presents a completely different safety profile compared to the rest of the island.
It's just a different vibe.
It is the one specific zone where reports of petty theft, aggressive behavior, and unpredictable incidents spike dramatically.
It's an easily avoidable zone if that isn't your scene. On a much lighter note, if you are traveling with a family, Corfu is a wonderfully easy ride.
It is fantastic for kids.
You have fantastic, accessible pebble beaches like Lefada and Agios Gordios. Crucially, these beaches actually have lifeguards on duty during July and August, which provides immense peace of mind for parents.
Which is rare on a lot of islands.
If the kids need a break from the salt water, There's a massive water park called Aqualand right in the center at Agios Ioannis.
Well, Aqualand is great.
It's a brilliant, low-stress day out. Tickets are around €30 for adults and 22 for kids.
And for LGBTQ plus travelers.
Additionally, for LGBTQ plus travelers, Corfu is broadly welcoming, especially within the cosmopolitan bubble of the Old Town. While it doesn't have the dedicated, massive queer scene of a Mykonos, hostile incidents are incredibly rare and the atmosphere is relaxed.
If you survive the mountain roads and avoid the hyper-party traps down south, you are free to experience the island's true highs.
Best parts.
But to provide a truly honest assessment for our listeners, we also have to acknowledge the unavoidable lows.
Right.
There are certain elements of the modern Corfu experience that simply do not live up to the fantasy, and you need to be mentally prepared for them.
I am all for managing expectations. Let's do a run-through of the absolute best moments you can have, followed by the honest disappointments.
Hit me with the highs first.
Let's start with the best moments. Standing at the Angelokastro fortress, looking out over Paleokastritsa as the sun sets, is a sweeping, dramatic view that justifies the flight. Doing a proper kumquat liqueur tasting at Mavromatis, right in the heart of Corfu town. Sitting down to a heavy plate of that rich Sofrito at Ruvas Taverna.
Yes.
The absolute unhinged thrill of witnessing the pot throwing at 11 a.m. on Holy Saturday, watching massive clay urns smash on the cobblestones.
Unforgettable.
And finally taking your first plunge into the water at the Porto Timoni Twin Bay. But a quick note on Porto Timoni. That swim is the reward after a steep, sweaty 25-minute downhill hike. It pays off spectacularly, but you absolutely earn it.
You definitely earn that swim. And then the honest disappointments.
The lows.
Because nowhere in the Mediterranean is perfect in 2026. We mentioned Kavos earlier. To be frank, it is a genuinely unpleasant British package holiday strip.
It's pretty rough.
By 2 a.m., it is not uncommon to find literal vomit on the pavements. It strips away any illusion of the Greek culture you traveled so far to experience.
Yeah. Another massive disappointment is the Instagram versus reality disconnect.
Oh, the secret beaches.
So many of those pristine, empty, secret beaches you see going viral on social media now require grueling 90-minute drives along terrible roads.
And they aren't secret anymore.
And when you finally arrive, exhausted, the secret is so completely out that you are hit with a paid parking lot and a crowd of people fighting for towel space.
It's just so disheartening. Furthermore, the island's northeast coast areas like Cassiope, Kalami, and Agni.
What's wrong with those?
These bays are undeniably beautiful, but they have become parking lots for chartered boats.
All the noise.
Exactly. The designated quiet hours are strictly enforced only from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. The minute the clock strikes 10, the outboard engines start revving and the music starts blaring across the water.
That ruins the piece pretty fast.
And of course, as we established, being caught in Corfu town on a cruise ship Saturday.
Venice on a bad day.
People always use that cliche, Venice on a bad day. But what that physically looks like on the ground is wall-to-wall people, an inability to find a single open share at a cafe, and a municipal infrastructure straining under the weight of the crowds.
When you lay it out like that, a pattern emerges.
Yeah.
Notice how every single disappointment, the chaotic mess of Kavos, the overcrowded hidden coves, the overwhelming cruise ship days, every single one is a direct, unavoidable byproduct of the massive tourist volume we talked about at the very beginning.
Which perfectly brings us back to the local government strategy.
Right.
These disappointments validate their desperate attempt to pivot away from mass crowds. The island is buckling under the sheer weight of volume, so they logically have to shift toward extracting higher value from fewer people to preserve the destination.
So if hearing about the crowds, the heat advisories, and that Venice on a bad day vibe sounds like an absolute deal breaker to you, we are not going to leave you stranded.
We have backups.
We need to look at the escape hatches. What are the viable alternatives if Corfu just isn't hitting the mark for your 2026 trip? We have two fantastic pivots, an upgrade in tranquility and a massive downgrade in price.
Let's talk about the upgrade option. It's Paxos, Greece. It is a roughly 90-minute ferry ride south of Corfu. It boasts 1/10 of the population, completely sidestepping the mass market chaos.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
It features incredible, dramatic turquoise sea caves that you can explore by renting a small boat. The shoulder season accommodation averages around 140 euros per night.
So it's comparable in price, but much quieter.
Exactly. It is the perfect, elegant pivot if Corfu feels simply too busy and commercialized for your tastes.
And then there's the downgrade on price, But I want to be clear, it is definitely not a downgrade on the quality of the water.
Not at all.
The pivot here is Saranda, Albania. This is a mere 30-minute ferry ride east, straight across the strait from Corfu.
So close.
You get access to the incredible UNESCO Butrint ruins, which rival anything in Greece.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. Hotel averages plummet to near €55 a night.
That is a crazy drop.
30 minutes on a ferry, your hotel price drops from 130 to €55. You're still swimming in the exact same Ionian Sea, and the Albanian Riviera beaches down at Casimil easily rival the beauty of anything you will find on Corfu.
If we look at this through a broader geopolitical and economic lens, the rapid rise of the Albanian Riviera is providing the exact budget release valve that Corfu is actively shedding.
It's capturing all the overflow.
For the smart, budget-conscious listener, Saranda essentially represents the 2010 Corfu experience price-wise.
That makes perfect sense.
Albania is readily absorbing the budget traveler who is currently being squeezed out by Corfu's 15 climate resilience fees and 386 August room rates.
Okay, we have covered the massive scale of the geography, the deeply ingrained history of the food, the regressive nature of the taxes, the logistics traps, and the Albanian alternatives.
We've covered a lot of ground.
It is time to bring this sprawling 2026 deep dive back to the ultimate question. With all the beauty, the traps, and the fees laid out, what is the final verdict? Is it worth it?
The moment of truth.
I'm going to run through our 5 traveler personas. I want you to listen closely and ask yourself, which one of these are you?
First, the backpacker. The verdict is yes, with conditions.
Conditions being the key word.
At €70 a day, an institution like the Pink Palace still delivers an incredible classic experience. However, the 2026 strategy is visibly and aggressively pushing the budget end out.
Right.
By 2027, the cheap dorm option may be completely gone or rendered economically unviable due to compounding fees. So go this year to experience the end of an era, or be fully prepared to pivot your itinerary to Albania next summer.
Next up, the Midrange Couple. The verdict here is a resounding yes.
Oh, absolutely yes.
€170 a day buys you a gorgeous hilltop room in Pelekas, 2 solid taverna dinners a day, and a scooter to explore the coves. At that funding level, the 3-a-night fee is just a minor irritation, not a trip-ruining deal-breaker.
Just avoid August.
Right, your clear, undeniable window of opportunity is mid-May or September. Do not subject yourselves to the prices and the heat of August.
For the family profile, the verdict is also a whitelist. Corfu remains highly manageable with kids.
The lifeguards are a big plus.
The Glyfada pebble beaches are safe. Aqualand is a great utility for a restless afternoon. And finding family-friendly 3-star hotels at €84 a night makes it one of the easier Greek islands to budget for a group.
Just remember the car.
The crucial, non-negotiable piece of advice here: rent a car. You absolutely need it to bypass the spotty public transport and reach the good beaches on your own schedule.
Then we have the luxury traveler, and honestly, for this demographic, this is a massive yes.
They are the target audience right now.
The properties like the Angsana and the Grecotel genuinely compete with the finest luxury spots in Mykonos, but you are paying roughly 40% less for the privilege.
It's a bargain for luxury.
The island's deliberate luxury pivot means there is a wave of incredible new development happening in places like Cassiope and Dacia. Our ultimate advice for the high-end spender: book a private villa with a pool in the hills, skip the crowded town hotels entirely, and enjoy the absolute best of what the pivot has to offer.
Finally, the digital nomad. The verdict here is a firm NO.
A hard no.
The fundamental infrastructure simply hasn't caught up to the flashy hotel development. Fibre internet remains highly patchy outside of the main hub of Corfu town.
And the winter rentals.
Long-stay winter rentals are very limited because property owners much prefer the lucrative summer short-let market. The nomad community on the ground is thin.
That makes it tough.
And most importantly, the extreme summer price spikes will wipe out a standard remote worker budget within a single month. If you are a nomad, pick mainland hubs like Athens or Thessaloniki instead.
So they just don't want nomads.
Corfu's current architecture wants short-term, high-spending guests, not long-term, slow travelers.
It's a harsh truth for the nomad community, but providing that clarity is exactly why we break these destinations down.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
What's that?
If Corfu successfully engineers out the budget traveler by 2027, and all the economic data suggests they will, where does the 70-a-day traveler go next?
Probably Albania, right?
As the Mediterranean islands increasingly consolidate into a luxury-only playground, we might be witnessing a historic, permanent eastward shift. The era of the cheap Greek island hopping trip may be over, pushing the future of budget travel permanently into the Balkans.
If this gave you the honest verdict you needed, follow the show. New episodes drop every day.
That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.
That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.